When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor who, besides from being a Roman emperor, is mostly known for playing a huge part in the ancient Greek school of philosophy, Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius unintentionally left something to the world that has changed lives for people all over the world, including mine. His private journal, where he wrote down his thoughts, called Meditations. This journal is full of practical Stoic wisdom and general lessons that one should follow in order to live a calm life. Since many of you enjoyed me trying out Robert Greene's daily routine for a week and voted for me to try out another person's daily routine, here you go. This time, as you already guessed, I will be doing Marcus Aurelius's daily routine. But before we get started, we need to discuss some rules. Since not much is known about the actual daily routine of Marcus Aurelius, I will have to improvise in order to create at least some structure and an idea of what Marcus Aurelius would have done in an average day. I will also implement, the same way I did with the Robert Greene video, a lesson each day that will have to be implemented, but with a twist. I will be using this jar, called the Stoic jar, and I put 7 Marcus Aurelius's quotes in here, and I will pull one out randomly each day and try to learn a Stoic lesson with you guys. So, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. As Stoicism itself, Marcus Aurelius's daily routine was simple. In the morning, the emperor would wake up early and start his day with negative visualization. Negative visualization is a technique that teaches a person to focus on the negative parts of life and in that way prepare for the challenges that lie ahead. I will wake up at 7:30 a.m. and immediately start contemplating these words from Marcus Aurelius. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They're like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood and birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the 2 rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are unnatural. According to some sources, Marcus Aurelius would also use mornings for journaling and planning for the day ahead. I will do the same. Then he would spend his day doing the duties of an emperor, and a big part of that was focusing deeply on the tasks at hand for long periods of time. I will make sure that when I schedule time for work, I will do it with 0 distractions and full focus. In leisure time, Marcus Aurelius enjoyed wrestling and reading, which I will be doing as well. I will go to my jiu-jitsu classes in the evening and read Meditations or some other book. Whilst reading is going to be a good opportunity to contemplate on my mortality, which Marcus Aurelius did very often. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This was the first quote that I grabbed out of the Stoic jar, and I think it's an extremely valuable lesson and the foundation of Stoicism itself. We often go through life on autopilot, letting others and the environment choose the decisions for us, and we actually lose the only thing that gives us freedom or choices on how to act. If something happens to you, you first need to identify that event. Is it something that happened to you that is outside of your control? If that's the case, then just choose how to act despite the event, as you accept that it is uncontrollable, but you still make a decision how to act in that uncontrollable. I really like this Viktor Frankl's quote that I believe sums this up quite well. Everything can be taken away from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. When we go through life, it's easy to keep looking forward and forget what we have in the moment. The virtue of gratitude teaches us that life is actually happening right now. Of course, you should plan, prepare, and work for a chance of a good future, but when it comes to calmness of life, just slowing down and appreciating what you have in the moment, This can give you that real sense of progress because you already look at what you have already achieved. Think about one thing that you are grateful to have in your life right now and leave a comment down below of what it is, because in that way, when you write it down, you become conscious of it, and that's gratitude. Some people, when they do someone a favor, are always looking for a chance to call it in. And some aren't, but they're still aware of it, still regard it as a debt. But others don't even do that. They're like a vine that produces grapes without looking for anything in return. I've made a couple of short videos on this lesson, as I believe it to be a great practice of just being a good person. Doing something good to someone and not expecting anything in return is so simple but very rare nowadays. All of those people you see on social media who, as an example, pay for somebody's groceries are not doing something that is honestly good. Yes, they may be helping somebody, but they're filming it and posting it, and in that way, that's their third thing. They're looking for other people to view them as good, and that's not an act of goodness, that's just selfishness. I remember reading meditations and discovering the similar lesson of doing something good when no one is looking and or getting in trouble for doing the right thing, and maybe even letting somebody else take the credit as you understand that you did something good and you are content with that and not how other people view your deed. I found it fascinating, and I believe it's just a beautiful example of goodness that you just don't see nowadays. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work. I remember when I first started getting into self-improvement, and one of the most important things for me was to figure out what I want to do with my life. I was always interested in making videos, and I especially enjoyed editing, and so I decided to start sharing my life's journey towards becoming a better self through this creative outlet. This is where I discovered the most meaning of my life, as I've never been a really productive person, and discovering the virtue of work, learning difficult things and overcoming them, learning new skills, that was and still is the most meaningful thing in my life. Marcus Aurelius played a big role in this, as he taught me that I should be focused on that main purpose, and that purpose for me being improvement, and most of my improvement comes from putting in the work. This quote was a good reminder to not throw myself in all directions when working, but to focus on the task at hand. And I recommend to you guys, whenever you are trying to be productive, is to limit all distractions, which usually means the main distraction, your phone. Put it in do not disturb mode or turn it off completely, and don't multitask unless it's necessary. You will find that you will enter this flow state, and this flow state is exactly where you need to be in order to find meaning. People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can get away from it anytime you like, by going within. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul, especially if you have other things to rely on. An instant's recollection, and there it is, complete tranquility. And by tranquility, I mean a kind of harmony. I made a short video on this, and I think I summed this quote up nicely, and I'll just repeat what I said in the short. When we are faced with problems in life, the most common response is to either consume pleasures to dull the pain or try to escape the pain. People usually try to escape by traveling a lot, going on vacation, but the problem with that approach is that you carry the problems with you anywhere you go. People rationalize that by escaping the environment in which they first noticed a problem, will leave that problem there and they can peacefully resume life elsewhere. In reality, life problems are usually within us, our own thoughts and actions. We have to take responsibility to deal with those problems, and only then we can go someplace else other than within. As this challenge of living as Marcus Aurelius for a week soon comes to an end, I want to share this thing that is probably the best thing in this entire daily routine, the morning journaling. What I do soon after waking up is I take my journal and I just write a morning reflection for as long as I wish. It can be anything I want, just like how Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations. It was for himself, and he wrote what he was thinking about and what problems and how he wanted to fix. I was doing journaling before this challenge in the evenings, but I've kind of lost the habit, and so it was really great that this challenge kind of allowed me to do it again. Actually, there are 3 of us who are doing this journaling practice in our Discord community, Disciples of Life. If you want to come and join this exclusive community and improve with us, you can go in this video's description to my Patreon and choose the Discord community tier to take your improvement to a whole different level. Also, I want to add to this quick disclaimer that, of course, this is not mandatory, but if you want and can, please support my work, what I've been doing here on this channel, because I pretty much for almost 4 years now, I've been putting in the work on this, like pretty much weekly videos and now daily videos, and I still haven't reached that recognition on YouTube or other platforms that I want. And so it's kind of difficult for us small creators to keep up our content, you know, without kind of financial support. So if you guys are willing, if you want, of course, again, this is not mandatory, but just wanted to say this, you can support my channel on that Patreon, the mentioned Patreon if you want, or on my PayPal, and everything is in the description. Thanks in advance. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Nowadays, we are constantly being pushed to the ideas of being more busy, consuming more, and never being satisfied. But is this something we actually need? Or can we be content with less in order to be more from within? I believe the latter. The thing is that if we get more and consume more, we will crave more. But if we learn to train ourselves to enjoy less, we will be happy with less. If you are happy and grateful to have less, then getting a bigger thing seems so much more rewarding than if you're just chasing that feeling of the next purchase. This doesn't mean settling for less and stopping reaching something that could be better, but knowing the limit and creating that distinction between what you just want and what you actually need. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself to make it just and holy. This Marcus Aurelius lesson was probably the hardest one to implement, as this is something specific to a situation where you need not to think of what people say or do. During that particular day, which was actually yesterday, I didn't encounter an event where I had to kind of use this practice of not caring about other people's opinions, but I really did practice this in the past. The most important thing I've learned from Marcus Aurelius when it comes to dealing with people is to actually value yourself and your opinion more than the other person's. If that other person tries to insult you in some way, emotionally insult you in some way, or just tries to get inside your head some other way. This doesn't mean that you should be above everybody, but only above the people who are just draining your energy and are just trying to harm you just for the sake of it. Never, however, stoop to their level. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You have the task to be good and to avoid ignorance as much as possible. And if other people don't hold these things as virtues, you can either try to help them by explaining to them, or if that doesn't work, using patience to endure them, or just moving on. To conclude this past week, the most beneficial things in the routine were probably the daily morning journaling and the stoic lessons. I already mentioned how journaling was a great way to start the day, but also grabbing that random stoic lesson every single morning and just trying to practically implement it at a given day was just kind of a fun and a cool way to learn Stoic philosophy. If you like this video and you want to see another video of me trying out a famous writer's Robert Greene's daily routine, you can do that by clicking on the upper right corner of this video or going into the description down below. If you want to see more of Stoicism, I have plenty of videos on that, and so in the description down below you can find my full playlist of Stoicism as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative and useful, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more weekly self-improvement content. As I mentioned, I have a Discord called Disciples of Life, and on that Discord, in our kind of Discord community, we all gather up to kind of improve and hold each other accountable and lift each other up to just improve pretty much. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in adding that human element, that community element in your improvement, you can do that by going to the description down below to my Patreon and selecting the Discord community membership tier. And if you just want to support my channel and myself, you can do that by donating to me on PayPal. And all the help is really appreciated. And thank you already, guys, who donated and been on the Discord community. It's really nice to see us growing. And yeah, and also don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias, and pretty much everything is in the description down below. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and stay on your journey. Oh, sorry, it's not stay on your journey anymore. Now the catchphrase now is, remember, meaning is above pleasures. Yes. Is that a good one? I think it is.